right, so the shutter is this protective layer that protects the inside of whatever you're exposing until you're ready to expose it. Right now, if I was to go ahead and put photo paper in there and then go ahead and slap my lid on, it would be ruined because there isn't, and I just carry it and then I go and try and take a picture of a tree. There's going to be too much light in and it's going to ruin it, and my picture is going to come out completely dark because it's already being exposed. So to prevent that, we create a shutter, and that's going to be something we're able to open and close either for a long time if you're doing if there's somewhere that's not a lot of light, or really quickly if there's a lot of light, which is like maybe 10-15 seconds. So you go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and then you close it. Obviously it's a lot slower than that, but that's just as an example. For our shutter, what I'm going to do is repurpose some of that tin foil that I cut too much of, and I'm just going to make a square cut a square that's a little bit larger than my pinhole here. See how that's bigger? And then I'm going to go ahead and cover that in duct tape because I want it to be a little heavier than just the tin foil by itself. Oh, I guess you can't see me doing that, but I'm just covering it in duct tape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape one side of it. After I'm done covering it, I'm going to tape one side of it down. So I'm going to tape one side down, and then I'm going to use masking tape to tape down the other because that one's going to allow me to lift it. And tin foil is nice too because it's bendy, so that's exposing the photo. All right, so I'm just going to put it back down and I'm going to finish covering it, and then I will show you. All right, so this is my completed shutter. I did leave a little space, but that's okay because we know that tin foil isn't going to let any light through, right? Okay. And tin foil does that because it's reflective and the light just bounces off of it. So I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to fasten it with a bit of duct tape to the top. I'm going to do a little bit more than that because I want it to be sturdy. So this is the top part. So when my photos are oriented, this is going to be the top of the image and this will be the bottom. See, and then I'm just able to flip it up like that, but it's still attached. And then what I'm going to do now is go ahead and attach a piece of masking tape. And go ahead. And another reason it's important to have a shutter is so when you're done exposing it, before you go into the darkroom, you can close it back up and the image stays safe and no more light pollution gets in and ruins your image. All right, so now you can just go ahead and grab a side, peel it, wait till it's exposed for as long as you need, and then close it. And then if you want, you can store it upside down, or you can store it in a dark place until you can get to a dark room, or you take it to your dark room. All right, so now this is a bit complicated because you're gonna want to have your paper. Now the paper that we're using is light sensitive and can only be really exposed in either a dark room or complete darkness, which is going to be really hard because for my container, I'm going to have to cut my paper into a circle that fits the bottom. So just to show you guys, I'm going to go ahead and use just a piece of paper to show you how to get it in there. But what you'll want to do is go ahead and you'll go into either a dark room and you'll go ahead and you'll cut your paper and you'll put it in the container that way so your paper doesn't get ruined. All right, so what I'm going to show you here is that I'm going to use my lid to draw a reference circle on my paper. And photo paper is nice because in the back it's matte, so that your matte is like a texture that allows you to kind of write on it more. So you can go ahead and do this with your paper face the other way. And so now I have a circle, and I know that the bottom is smaller, right? It's smaller than that, so I'm going to cut a little bit inside of that circle. Now keep in mind that you're not using notebook paper. You can, however, use it as a guide when you're in the dark room under a safety light to cut your paper if you have an object like mine. Otherwise, you can use a paper cutter or just some scissors to get a square for your box or whatever shape that you need. If you want to cut it into a triangle, you can do that. Just making sure that it'll fit on the other side of your pinhole. But I'm just showing you with this piece of paper, and we're going to use our imaginations and think that this is in the dark room, in that red light, to be able to attach it. All right, so now what you want to do is make sure in the dark room, you'll have a red light that will be your safety light. And the safety light you can use is you want to shine it towards it. And the side that has, depending on your paper, most of it, like if you're using glossy paper, it'll have a sheen to it. That way you know that that's the light sensitive. Obviously this is a piece of notebook paper, so you can't see that. But you'll see that it's shiny, and if you flip it over, it'll be kind of like this notebook paper where there's not much light coming off of it. So you'll want to tape it on this side, which is this side, for me, that isn't the part that's exposed, and that's what's going to stick to your container. And that's important because you don't want your paper just rolling around in your container. Then you won't get a pretty good image. So what I like to do is I like to put some of the tape on either side. You can also just stick it in the middle, but if your paper bows, just know that's going to affect your image. So I like to put it on the side to keep from the image rounding on the sides like that, so that it gets a more even exposure. All right. And once you've done this in your dark room or in complete darkness, if you're that skilled, then what you're gonna do, I'm just doing a couple edge pieces more, again, to prevent the paper from curving. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stick it at the bottom, and I wanna make sure that it is secured. Now, because it's a paper and I didn't measure it exactly, and because it's not light sensitive paper, it doesn't fit very well, but I just wanted to show you how to get your paper into your container. And it was like that. You just fasten a couple pieces of masking tape or Scotch tape to the back and stick it in the bottom. Now, that's about it. So now you have your pinhole camera. And you can go ahead and take your pictures. Just make sure to be aware of exposure times and what light you have available, so that you don't waste a lot of paper. But yeah, there's my pinhole. I think that's pretty cool. I hope that yours turned out just as well, or in any fashion that you wanted it to.